Welcome to Better Credit, Better Home, your source for the latest local and national news that can impact you if you are in the market for real estate. Here are your hosts, the Kingwood mortgage guy, Mike Durr, who uses his 25 years as a mortgage professional to help people improve their credit, and Joe Salas, an accomplished home inspector, real estate agent, and trainer of new agents for Byrd Property International. Together, they will help you understand what you need to know to get the most out of your real estate investment. Let's get started.
All right, let's get started.
Let's do it, man.
All right. Well, first thing first, we said we introduced myself and we introduced Joe, who you know because he's here with us all the time. But we've got a new guest that we invited mainly because he's a longtime good friend of mine, and he just happens to be an appraiser. So we got Tim King from EST Appraisal Group, I think.
Yep.
And so if anybody needs an appraiser, Mr. Tim King is one of the best out there. I estimated this a couple times with the stuff that we did at First Community Credit Union. I'm guessing you've done 1,000 plus appraisals for me over
probably
the course
so. Actually, it was before that too.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we were doing them a long time before that, but that's when the volume really amped up.
Exactly.
You did a lot for that.
Yeah.
And so we got mortgage guy, be me. We got a realtor, which is Joe. We got a inspector, which is Joe. We got a real estate trainer, which is Joe, and we got Tim, who is an appraisal guy. So really, as far as answering questions for people, if they want to, while they're watching the show live, you can type those in. Somebody ought to be watching that. They may not be, but we'll look at those questions if we get them later. But one, I'm thrilled to get Tim. I asked Tim to come on the show months ago, and he just blew me off. I guess you're too busy. but I'm glad you're
true.
Yeah,
there you go.
So we are going to, let's see what I'm going to have to do here to get this done. I'm going to take this guy out, and I'm going to put in let's see if I can find it now. Yep. Bear with me, guys.
Good.
That's not what I want. Out. Present. Slides. Computer. There it is. I say. This never goes like it's supposed to.
Were you trying to bring up the slides, Mike?
Yeah, I got them now. They're just taking their time. It'll be interesting to see the three of us on top of each other here in just a minute.
Oh.
Not okay. It's spinning. All right.
I saw Joe laughing. Not just me.
All right, you guys, mine's in the gutter. Cut it out. Okay.
Hey, we got enough of us for see no evil, hear no evil.
Yeah, that's right. So anyway, this session, even though it's Better Credit, Better Home, we're talking about 2023, and this will be the last time that we pontificate about what's going on in 2023 because we're in it now. But this is what you need to know about buying or selling real estate for this year. And Tim, look, this is the best I could do as far as your picture. I put you in that little slot there in the middle of our screen. So
see a little grainy, but that's okay.
That's all right.
It's okay.
Yep. Being there is better than not being there.
Absolutely.
All right, our guest, Tim King, EST Appraisal Group. If you wanted to call Tim, this would be a great place to take his number down. And I think I got his email in there. So that is Tim. Tim, give people a little bit of a idea of how you got started in the appraisal business and what it's been like this last 6 months.
Yeah.
That's enough. Okay.
No. All right. See you later. We got started way back in 1993. Spent a couple years appraising. That particular firm, I guess, downsized. So I was the low man on the totem pole. Got out. Got back in 97. Started my own firm in 2001. and really been blowing and going ever since then. Mainly just residential, anything from land sales to mobile homes to single family, multi, the whole bit. So been doing it for a while now. Last 6 months, really want to talk about that. It's slowed down, slowed down a little bit,
Big amen
especially
to
the last 2 or 3 months. But we're just, we're going to wait for those interest rates to drop. I think you'll probably talk about that and get it going again. But yeah, it's been busy in our area for sure.
Well, the interesting thing I always think is that there was a time, and it was about 8 months ago, when we couldn't get an appraiser to go out and do an appraisal for about 3 weeks, maybe a month. And in between that time, probably in October, we called for an appraisal. The appraiser went out there that same day. We had the report the next day.
Wow.
And the buyer thought something was wrong. They told us, they said, there's no way an appraiser got out there that fast. And I went, you don't understand. But anyway, that's a longer story behind that, but we'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
But I will testify that Tim is a good man and one I consider a good friend also.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're going to move on. What we're going to cover today, here's what it is. We got a little of the last of New Year's humor. We're going to talk about home inventory is low but rising, what buyers and sellers need to know regarding inventory. So the fact that inventory is rising, we're going to tell you as a seller and a buyer what to do about it. Home values still rising but less than they have. What higher prices mean for buyers and sellers again. And then interest rates are trending lower. And I've got a really cool slide on that. And then the last thing is a market crash is not likely. There are a lot of people out there that are still talking about a market crash. And from what the experts say and what we're going to present here, we don't think that that's going to happen. All right. So that is what we're going to cover today. If you're in the right place, you want to know about this stuff. If you're a first-time home buyer or somebody like that, this would be a good session for you. Okay. So I always do my humor thing. This, sometimes it's a little on the salty side. Sometimes it's just not very funny at all. But I thought I added a few flavors here, though. So after my friend turned vegan, it was like I'd never seen her before. Okay. I'm not bossy. I just know what you should be doing. And you see what makes it funny is what I put down here at the bottom. It's my wife.
It says my wife.
I thought my wife wrote that.
You could say that same too. All right. A bulldozer, someone who sleeps through political speeches. And I got Tim's name there. Not much of a political guy. All right. Life and beer are very similar. Chill. No, life and beer are very similar. Chill for best results. And that's most men.
Most men, yeah.
Not all men, but most men. And then the final one is, I used to suffer from soap addiction, but I'm clean now. So that's Joe Salas. All right. A chuckle or two will be on to that. We won't talk about it. All right. So home inventory in 2023. So here's the premise of this one. Housing inventory is substantially below levels from the previous year. You can see it's gone down from the worst time we had was in 2006, 7, and 8. That's when there was a crash. You can see the inventory was 3.7 million in this chart here. Right now, it's estimated that this is December 2022. There's 1.28 million homes for sale in the United States. That may be less, maybe more, but that's a lot less. And there are a lot more buyers out there. And that's one of the reasons that we're convinced, or I'm convinced, that there is not going to be any kind of crash. So the less supply for what has been in high demand. And I can tell you, and all these guys will share with you, that homes were in demand big time 6 months ago, maybe 7 months ago. I mean, there were multiple offers. It was just one of those crazy frenzies that we hadn't seen before. And it wasn't one that was a lot of fun for anybody. The fast rise of interest rates diminished housing demand. I mean, it was nothing other than that. The cost of the supply got higher because of the interest rate. Inflation was the trigger. Mortgage rates were effectively raised by Fed, our government, to reduce inflation. Now, I don't think that they took a target at us as the mortgage and real estate industry, but they were just doing we just happen to be in the way.
Hmm.
So, Tim, you have anything to add to that?
That, I mean, you kind of hit it on the head. I mean, that's about what I'm seeing too on my side of the industry for sure. Yeah.
Joe,
Okay.
anything to add?
No, I think you're right, Mike. I mean, the interest rates weren't the target per se, but they were a byproduct of the overall Fed approach to slow the economy. I think though the job numbers have been still strong, and the lower house inventory is a fact. So I think that's helped stave off recession to a certain degree.
I was going to put it in this analogy, is that if somebody is providing a service and all of a sudden people catch on to the fact that this is a really good service and it's really priced right, the person has two options at that time when they start getting more orders in for the same service. They can get help, or they can raise their price.
Yeah.
And when you do one of those two things, or both of them, I mean, obviously the ideal would be to hire somebody to help you do that. But another way to slow it down was to charge more for the same service. And that'll definitely tamper the number of deals that you're doing. That's exactly what happened in our case here. So anyway, I thought that the home inventory, if people understand that the demand for houses was based on the fact that we had 2% and 3% interest rates, heck yeah, it was a good thing to be in real estate.
Oh, for
Absolutely.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. I agree.
Okay.
Supply. Yeah. As long as there's a low supply, there's going to be, and the demand's high. I mean, I don't foresee values just crashing as of yet, for sure. That's right.
Yeah, and I think it would take a lot for that to happen. I'm not going to tell you that if interest rates stayed in the 7+ range, I think that could very easily happen, because nobody wants to go in and buy them. I mean, there'll be some point where it's, I think Joe talked about it one time when we were talking about the flood. People tend to forget about the shock of going from 3% to 7%, or they forgot about how much it flooded and how much of Kingwood flooded. But we're not there yet.
Nope.
So this next slide is what buyers need to know about inventory. So this is for buyers specifically. And if the inventory stays low, they need to be ready to move fast. If they see a house that they like, they've got to move on it really quick. The best homes will go fast. I mean, you see that house that's out there, it's priced reasonably, it's updated completely, and the first person that goes in there goes, this is perfect. They're on it, man. So they've got to be ready to act fast. Late 2022 homes took 56 days to sell. That's 18 days less than 2020 levels. Now, I will share the information I got this from was Dave Ramsey. I'm a Dave Ramsey fan. This was a report that he did, so I'm taking for granted that he did his study. It was 56 days, but I think that was the medium, so that's not always the exact number, but it's close. The suggestions is know what you want. All right. There are a lot of people that don't make a list before they go out and start shopping houses. They need to know what they want and what they need. And sometimes you got to settle for what you need. This is the advice that I give to a lot of young buyers, is I say, look for the least expensive home in the best neighborhood, or a neighborhood that you want to live in. Joe, you get that one. What would you add to that?
If they price it right on the front side, it probably wouldn't sit on the market so long, but that's where a good realtor comes into play. But yeah, I think that one of the last point that you said, looking for one of the least expensive homes in the best neighborhoods, or the neighborhood where they want to be, is a good approach. Also, looking at homes that have been on the market longer is another good approach for buyers right now, because not guaranteed, but most likely, if the seller wants to sell, they'll work on the price, or you can get concessions, paying towards points or closing costs, etc. So.
Tim, you got anything?
I mean, that sounds about right. I think the days on the market, it seems like, is a little bit less in our area, maybe like the overall median, but yeah, I think this all looks very similar to what I'm saying on my side, for sure.
Well, and this is, we talked about it last week, is that consumers have like a delayed reaction, or they don't get this information as it comes across to us. In other words, we're seeing things in the headlines of periodicals and reports that are emphasizing our industry, and the consumer doesn't see this stuff. So 5 or 6 months ago, that's where they're at, and that's our job, is to let them know what's going on right now, and whether they believe us or not, that's up to them. Some will, some won't. So what? Next. That's what we do.
Yeah. Yep.
All right. What sellers need to know when inventory is tight. So it's like less inventory means less competition. Yes. If your home is in great shape, you could see multiple offers. Joe, you seen multiple offers on anything recently?
Most of my listings, yes, receive multiple offers, but
you go.
For sure. Sell Joe House, selljoehouse.com. No, it depends. It absolutely depends on the area, the price of the home, the condition of the home. Multiple offers are still around for sure. But again, if you're looking at a home that's set on the market for a while, most likely you're up against yourself. It's just you and the seller working on it.
So I'm in this conundrum right now, and Tim, this is another reason why I'm glad that you're here. Is I've got a house that I'm getting ready to put on the market, and I have a general idea about what it should sell for based on what others have sold for in the area. But if I price it high, or more in line with what I think it should go for, it may sit. Or if I lower the price to a point where it should create a frenzy, I'm not sure I'll get as much as I would have had I priced it at the price that I think is the right price. And so that is the jeopardy for consumers. And it's the only reason I say that is because there are others just like me that are going through this conundrum. And so I'm looking for, my wife says, it's got to appraise. Whatever it is, it's got to appraise.
Sure.
When an appraiser goes out there, they don't look at any of that. They don't worry about any of that. They're looking specifically at what's sold in and around that area. Now, I've got a couple questions because of that.
Sure.
The home that there just haven't been a lot of sales in and around that area. Okay. So mine's kind of isolated. When you have a 3-1, 3 beds, 1 bath, do you spread your search out to find other 3-1s, or how do you treat that?
Yeah, I mean, it really just depends on the area. If it has been stable, then what we'll do is expand the neighborhood if necessary. Try to find, homes in similar price, similar features, school district, obviously proximity. Also, most lenders want to see, they want a current market value. So they want homes sold within 3 to 6 months. So what we sometimes have to do is we'll go beyond 6 months, between 6 months to a year. And then if necessary, make a time adjustment for that comp. But yeah, mainly we'll expand, and then other criterias as well. Square footage, year built. You do want to find, we talked about this, Mike, before, bracketing, your comp sales, something maybe with a little bit more.
Explain to the people listening what bracketing is.
Bracketing basically is just kind of giving you an idea of what might be a little bit more and what might be a little bit less, to find that common middle. So something with maybe 4 bedrooms, comparing to a 3-bedroom house, and then maybe one with 2 bedrooms. So we're kind of right in the middle. You said you had 3 bedrooms in your, the 3,
3 bedroom, 1 bath.
Yep. So you want to try to find homes, obviously as an appraiser, we're trying to find and compare apples to apples, but it doesn't always work that way. So yeah, expanding your time, your neighborhood boundaries, and then other, criteria as well. But those are 2 big ones for sure.
So I did something interesting when I was looking at this, is instead of going further back, I thought I went less time. I did the search were 90 days.
Sure.
And the reason I did that is because interest rates were at 2 and 3% 6 months ago. Or at least much lower than they are today.
Oh, sure.
And I thought the more valid comps were the ones that were closed within the last 60 days, as a matter of fact. Does that make sense?
No, for sure. In fact, most lenders want to see that. I mean, the shorter time period between, the comps to the subject, the better for sure, because that just indicates a more current market value. So you definitely want the comps that are similar and that are closer and within the closing date for sure. Yeah. Oh
Okay.
yeah.
Well, I'll finish this. It says, beware, higher rates have reduced the number of buyers in the market. That we know because the market for real estate come October just fell off a cliff. I mean, the people just said, I am not going to pay 6.5%, 7% for a house right now. And particularly the ones that fell off were the people that are in a home where they have a 2 or 3% mortgage and they may have want to downsize. That would be this kid. But first time home buyers, they don't know the difference. So they're the millennials and that group of first-time homebuyers seem to be the main ones in the market. That's not 100%, but I mean, they're the dominant force out there. Your selling price should be reasonable. We think that's pretty obvious. We make sure you know where you're going. That's another bit of advice for sellers when they sell and they go, oh crap, I got to go find a place now.
Right.
But in this market, you could. I've been telling Joe, or we've been talking back and forth, that this, even though it's a little early in this transition period where we've gone from a frenzy to no business, and then now we're starting to pick it up again, there's this window of time that I think could be one of the best times to buy a house. Now, you may pay a little bit of a higher interest rate than what you want, but you're also buying a house for a little bit less than what they've been. And that's why I think that this pocket, I think it's going to last until maybe at best, it's going to last until April or May. But for sure it's happening between now and March, I think. So if you guys see that, I mean, that's just what I see. So I like my tug of war picture for this house. That's what I want. I want a frenzy. All right. Home value still rising. So according to the charts, year over year, house prices are still appreciating and are increasing. They do that. It's a year over year medium home price increased 11%. And that's November 2021 to November 22. Okay, so for during that year. So the reason I put this roller coaster screen is not so much that we've been on a roller coaster, which we have, but what happens is some of the homes are going down. There are still some areas that are going up. They haven't caught up yet. And that's why when you're looking at some of these charts or you're looking at some of this stuff, the data that they're using for that chart is delayed. In other words, most of the information we look at when we're talking about, like this is a perfect example, we're talking about from November 21 to November 22. Well, that's 2.5 months ago. So this information is a little less than perfect, but it's as best we have. That number is less than the rate in previous months. So the 11% is lower than what it was prior to that. It also indicates in 2023, we'll have slower growth. I mean, it's just going to be that way because there's still, the first part of 23 is now, and the market is not robust. It's very modest, if anything.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. The November numbers from 2022 to 2023 are probably going to be substantially less than 11%. I would say probably under 5 or around 5.
Well, I think you nailed it because the prediction for even the most aggressive person that says that home prices are going to be up is they look at that 4% number. So I think you're right on the money. Strong demand and shortage of homes for sales indicates prices will be stable. And that's what I've been saying is there's a stabilization that's going on right now. And for at least the first half of the year, it's probably going to be on the low side. I think once we get to summertime, so then the reason I'm saying this, summertime pricing, interest rates is going to be substantially less. And we think that it could be low 5s, high 4s.
Wow.
In summertime. Okay. Come that second quarter, really May, June. Joe says he's crazy. Well,
no, that's good. That's a good kind of crazy, Mike. Keep telling
it is.
That'd be amazing.
But you know what's going to happen though, if that does happen, if we do 4% interest rates, there's going to be a rash of refinancing. There's going to be a rash of people to get in houses again, and it's going to look a lot like it was at the first of 2022. So I'm not, that's the way I think that the message is consistent, that this is a great time, even though the people are tentative about tipping their toes into this market again with interest rates still. Well, you'll see at the end that the interest rates are still in the high fives, and high fives is still not bad. So anyway, I thought this was a good slide to chat about. So what higher prices means for buyers, okay? Again, what higher prices means for buyers is, first, if you're going to be buying a house, and you know you're going to be buying a house, you got to know how much you can afford. Absolutely have to put the pencil to it. You got to commit to staying within your budget. And this is Dave Ramsey all through this. Don't get frustrated watching great homes get plucked off the market, because it's going to happen. People are going to go in there from other states to our west, and they're going to put down more money, or they're going to pay more cash, or they're going to do all these things above listing price, and they're going to win homes. Limit your house payment. Now, this is hard for me to say as a mortgage guy. Okay, limit the house payment to 25, and Dave says 25%. I say 25 to 30. I got a little hedge on Dave there. Of your monthly income. And he would also say, and I got to share this, he would say of what you bring in, not what, or what you bring home, not what you get paid, because the taxes are paid out of there. So limit house payment to 25, 30% of your monthly income. Oh my gosh. Save for as big a down payment as you possibly can. So that is if homes go higher. Now, this is what we're talking about. These are a buyer in summertime, what they're going to have to do. Now, they don't have to necessarily do that right now. Well, it's probably a good idea to do this all the time.
You want to hear my theory, Mike?
Yes, sir.
I came up with a theory the other day. You know how they're laying off all these people in California that work for these tech companies? So I think there's probably going to be about a 2 to 3 month delay, and then they're going to, either get hired on when they stay over there, or they're going to realize, hey, I can't get a job here. I have a house note that I have a little bit of equity on, but that little bit of equity can buy me a same size house or bigger in Texas.
Oh, for sure.
Right.
So I think, and this is just a theory, disclaimer, right? But I think there's going to be a lot more competition from that type of clientele that is looking for a no house note, because the equity that they had from selling their house in California or wherever they're coming from on the West Coast is a lot more than what they would owe on a comparable house here, right? And so they're going to be cash buyers. They're going to be coming to town. They're going to be flooding the market, and it's going to be another situation where if you're a buyer right now that needs financing, or a first-time home buyer, it's better to not be up against that type of competition.
Oh, sure.
So my recommendation is strongly look at the market right now and get a hold of me or any other competent realtor to help you figure out what your options are right now.
And by the way, Joe's phone number is right there on the screen, so you ought to call him right now. See you, Joe. No. So I doing the research for this presentation, I stumbled across something that was from U-Haul. Have you ever heard of U-Haul's statistics? Well, what U-Haul does is, obviously they are the guy that rent the trucks or rent the trailers for people to move. And they do it yourself. And the #1 state of where U-Haul trailers are left off is, you guys know where it is?
Texas.
It is Texas. That's
Is it
right.
really? Wow.
Oh, yeah. So that means from not only California or Washington, it's all over the place. And I mean, when you have, again, we're talking about demand, there are people moving here from all over the country because, one, the first thing, most important thing is we have air conditioning. Yes, we do. But we also got land and we got houses, and our cost of living in this area is better than it is anywhere else in the United States, pretty much. Now, I'm not going to say that. It might be Arkansas, it might be Mississippi.
Most places.
Yeah, most places.
Definitely.
But anyway, so just trust me, this is going to be a market that there's opportunities now, and if you take an opportunity, I think you'll benefit from it. Okay, what higher prices means for sellers? Well, nice profit may be on the horizon. Must work with an experienced agent to get that price. That's kind of what we talked about just a few minutes ago. Be patient and wait for the right offer. Do you ever have that situation where you get somebody to come in and give you a lowball offer right away?
Oh yeah.
And is it tempting for the sellers to take that, or you just say just back off, we're good, right? My message is follow the advice of your agent.
Well, I mean, ultimately, it's the seller's decision on how they want to proceed, but usually my recommendation is let's see what else comes in. There's no the first 2 weeks are the most important weeks. The first weekend, as far as presenting your house on the market, is one of the very most important weekends and time periods of your. So my goal when I list homes is actually to get multiple offers by the Sunday night if I list on Wednesday. So, but yeah, usually cash buyers like to be a little bit cheaper. Yep. There are some wholesalers out there that you'll see that as well. But if the house is priced right, again, my goal is to get multiple offers and to have a little bit of competition. There is an approach now lately from buyer's agents that say, we don't want to get into a bidding war. And then my response to them on the seller's behalf is, the house is priced right, do your homework and do the comps and come with a correct offer. Right? If you don't want to be in a bidding war, then make your first offer very strong.
Yeah, I get that. So I don't know if you saw the last thing on here, and I don't know if this is controversial or not, but Tim, do anybody go out and get their home appraised prior to selling?
We do see that from time to time, just especially with more complex properties and rural type properties. Yeah. We will see that. One service that I do, and I will provide, especially during, these times, is we call them sketch onlys, and we'll go out and measure the house, because as a certified appraiser, an unbiased opinion of what the actual size of the home sometimes makes a difference, because so many times I get out to these houses and during I even have one today where I was told the square footage was 1,800 square feet and it was actually 1,400 square feet. Oh, now that doesn't help the seller and that from that standpoint, but I see it the other way all the time. I see homes that are like 400 to 500 square feet larger, based on my measurements, the ANSI guidelines, and if you want to sell your home higher, I mean, you want to have all your ducks in a row, which I agree with, having a good agent and just, professionals. This is a big investment. So just get it done right. So we do this.
No, the only thing wrong with that is my saying is that
in case it goes the other way.
Well, no, if you get 10 appraisers out there, you're going to have 10 different values. I mean,
they should be comparable. Yeah. That's true. But we all kind of go by the same guidelines. So the value should be close.
I think some of them drink more than they should. I don't know.
Well, we do tend to drink, Mike.
I was telling Allison the other day, my wife, I was like, man, realtors love to drink. I don't know what it is. And I was like, oh, wait, it's very stressful.
That's right. Yeah, of course so. All right. Well, if you wanted to get your home appraised prior to selling, Tim, his number's on here somewhere. I've got him on one of these anyway. Sure. All right. So home appreciation the last 4 years. I thought that this was just worthy to be in here. This is from January 2019. It's a graph. It goes month by month. And you can see that it's come down from, I guess that's about May or June of 2022, and it's sliding, but it's leveling off there. And again, the prediction, I guess, is that the growth in 2023 is going to be about 4%. That's what the smart guys are saying.
Yeah, and as a note to anybody that's watching, this is not saying that the values of your home are decreasing. It's saying the rate of increase is decreasing. So.
That's right. That's exactly right. Yeah. And of course, this is all local, different homes, different areas. It all matters. And everything is a little separate to the locality. All right. We'll talk about mortgage rates. I did a couple things. I found a website that would give me a look at this. And I'll go through this. But mortgage rates are trending lower. They have been since the first of this month. 2021 and part of 2022 interest rates were lower than they have ever been. Okay, so the last year they were the lowest they've ever been. But then you turn around, rates increased in 2022 faster than they've ever increased previously. So we had one of those crazy years where the rates were down, and then within a couple months they doubled. And it just had never happened like that. Mm-hmm. It appears inflation is starting to come under control. Now, that doesn't mean that the government wouldn't do something stupid and all of a sudden they'd rear back up. I mean, it just that's the one caveat. We don't know how to predict a government entity that's like this one is. But lower rates means home costs are getting better. That means that demand could go up if they went down. And this particular chart here is 2023. At the first of the month, they were up here. They've come down. I guess that's like 6.5, and they've come down to, according to this, 6.15. That is a very sweet thing. Now you see that same part right over here. This is I think this is January of 2021, and you can see it's April, and then this is June of 22. No, this is July of 22, October 22. So this is after they were down here. This is how fast they rose, and they got up right about in December, maybe the last part of November. This is when they were at the 7.25, something to that effect. So they're getting better. I hope it continues. From the guy that I listen to, or the people that I listen to, there are a lot of positive things on the market or in the future for interest rates. I think that'll make a difference. So this is kind of a summary of real estate trends. I think this is one of the things I used in humor at one point in time, Joe. But if you're not buying or selling, guess what? You just get to decide who you're going to listen to. Freddie Mac says that homes are going to be worth less in 2023. Fannie Mae says they're going to be worth more. I suspect the market change will be modest. That's what I'm saying. Real estate market crash is unlikely. Dave Ramsey said that. I believe it too. Rates affect demand, and rates are trending in the right direction. And so my picture says, the realtor, I want the truth. And as the loan officer says, you can't handle the truth. That's a great movie. So I'll say, I think I've got a couple other things here. Let's see. Find out how much your home is worth. Well, guess what? You got two guys now that can help you. Unfortunately, the guy in the middle here, he charges for that. Joe's for free.
I'm free, baby.
So I think I might know who you're going to call on that. But I've used him to do that for me. And I don't know if you remember that house on just off of Lake Houston Parkway, right down pretty close to your house. You did an appraisal for me on that one before I sold it.
Oh, I think I do. Yeah.
You do.
Is in Pinehurst, right?
Yep,
Pinehurst.
exactly.
Yeah.
So if you have equity, let Joe help you discover how much your home is worth. And you can decide what your options are. Joe will do an intensive comparative market analysis for you at no charge. And no charge is good. All right. Today's rates. Today, and this has been interesting, but today, 30-year fixed rates, 5.875. The 15-year, this is low, is 5%. That's
going
as low.
on there.
And the spread between a 15 and a 30 is usually about 0.5%. Today, it's almost a full percent. So a 15-year would look very appealing right now. FHA, and again, this is with good credit, would be 5.75. So rates are lower than they were last week. So that's always a good thing. And other than that, gosh, I'm looking at the time. We went a little bit over what we normally do, but it's
Hey, Mike, I got a question because we don't ever have an appraiser online. Can I? Do you mind
absolutely.
Can I ask you a question?
Absolutely.
I have two questions actually. One, because this is geared towards first-time home buyers and home buyers in general, looking for the right kind of information. What would be your number one piece of advice to buyers out there in regards to understanding appraisals, or in your realm that you could offer a buyer? What's number one piece of advice for buyers?
For buyers to understand the appraisal process, I guess. Really, I mean, if you're a buyer, your contact, if somebody, I would say, who is in your profession would be the one to help kind of, direct them, navigate, the appraisal process to them, the process to them. I think it's important to have a real estate professional to help with that, especially first time buyers, because you guys have all the information, to be quite honest. But that's buying a new property, it's important to be led in the right direction.
Cool. Question number two. So this is a little selfish, but it's also because I do training for new agents. On the sales side, for an agent, what is the most valuable piece of information that you can give us, or at least guidance that you can give us on the sales side, on the listing side, right?
The listing side, gosh. I would say a quality, MLS profile. From pictures to the information in there to the description of the house, honestly, sometimes I kind of wonder, man, there's misspellings. I can't believe, I'm not even never mind. I wasn't going to say that, but it's like, it's important to represent that house in a fair, honest way and a professional way, because
Beautiful. I told the agents that I train the same thing, because a lot of the stuff is optional. We don't have to fill it in as an agent, but you don't do the sellers any good. Well, thanks, man. I appreciate your time.
Yeah, and to tell them to go beyond, just the basics, because it feeds us information, and we get most of our information from you guys.
Yeah.
And then, so if you communicate that right, I'm really close to my hands look really big this way. Sorry. This is all new to me. But yeah, definitely, because that's your number one seller, as far as selling the houses, that MLS,
the online description. Yeah, exactly. Cool.
So I've got a question then. You brought it up. So I'm convinced that if they go out and they mow the lawn, they pick up the kids' toys from in and around the yard, they clean up the house and have the dishes in the dishwasher or not in the good thing, that there's a pretty fair chance that your opinion of the value of that house is going to be higher. Am I wrong on that or not?
I mean, you definitely, that's a good point. You definitely want the house to represent when the appraiser comes out, because we're taking photos, and I tell homeowners both on the refi and the purchase side, we're not really, you're going to have some boxes, a little bit of clutter. We're looking at the quality of your materials, granite countertops, and wood floors opposed to vinyl or a stained carpet. That's kind of what we're looking at. Not so much the cleanliness of it, but in all honesty, yeah, you want a good representation when the appraiser comes out, for sure. Yeah.
Well, I got to tell you, Tim, it's been a pleasure having you with us today.
Thank you for the invite. I appreciate it.
I want to just tell everybody that, getting him to spend time with us is very helpful. Obviously, I want you to reach out to him if you have any questions to him, and to employ him to do, because appraisers don't always have to go with the lender. They can do a direct appraisal straight for themselves. Is that correct?
Absolutely. Yep, it is. It is. Now, Fannie Freddie has to go through the AMC, the appraisal management, company who represents, I guess, the lender. But yeah, if you just want a value on your home, or like I said, a big seller these days are the sketch onlys. Will come out and measure your house, get an exact, square footage, because they're oftentimes, we see things being taken, square footage being taken from old blueprints or the tax record, like the county appraisal districts, and they're not always accurate. So definitely you want to.
So the cost of you doing that entails not only the size of the house, but how far you have to go. Is that correct?
Pretty much. Yeah, exactly. Okay. But for the most part, it's, anywhere from 150 to 175, unless it's a jumbo or a complex, or I have to drive farther. Exactly.
All right. Well, since it's that cheap, I'm going to hire you.
Yeah, I'm going to give you a call. You got about 300 coming to you right now, man.
375? Is that?
All right. Well, I don't think I'm going to get the outro on there, but thanks, guys, for showing up.
Thanks, Mike.
Here. I think it was good information, and we will see you guys next week. Be sure to subscribe to our channel. We'd love to see you on that, and just make sure you get all this information. Okay. Talk to you soon, guys.
All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye.